Okay, well, again, thank you for coming to our real-time training. My name is Eric Calcone. I'm the director of Real University here. And today our topic is agent business planning. So the first thing that I want to do for you here is I want to share my desktop so that you're able to see my PowerPoint. And we'll be talking, there's essentially 4 documents that we'll be going into today. I have a PowerPoint that details each activity and each step, and that will actually walk you through the process of creating your business plan. We also have an agent handout, which is a handout that you can use to complete your business plan, with a pen and a paper, and you can have a calculator there, and you can go through all of your numbers, put those into your plan. We've also, because I know we have a lot of our agents obviously are working online these days, we've converted that document also into Microsoft Excel files. So we do have an Excel file, which is essentially the same version of the handout, but it enables you to do all the calculations and everything right online. So in a few minutes here, you'll get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Those are the 3 main documents, and we also have an additional document to provide to you, and this is what we call the Accountability Partners handout as well. One of the main pieces of any business planning is to make sure that after you create your plan, that you have somebody to be able to hold you to that plan. You're not just creating a plan and then forgetting about it for 12 months until it's time to create a plan again. So we've created an accountability partner to allow you to select an accountability partner, whether that be your broker or whether that be a husband or wife or someone that you want to hold you accountable for the goals that you put there on your business plan. And we have a handout for them to help you walk through those steps. And we're recommending at least a monthly meeting with that accountability partner so that you can keep track of where you are in your goals, and they can, you can adjust things and be flexible with your goals as well based on changing market conditions. So we'll make those available to you at the end of the call. I want to just kind of talk to you about what we're going to have available here. So the first thing, let me share the PowerPoint. Okay. So the name of the class here is Power Planning, How to Set Your Business Goals and Strategize the Year Ahead. And before we jump right in, I will mention that we do have 4 regional service consultants, and those are essentially our classroom trainers that are out in the field. And those regional service consultants, starting basically in September through the end of the year, have been trained on this program, and we'll be traveling around regional locations offering this business planning session. So you may have a business planning session scheduled, so if you attend that, that's more of a 3 to 4 hour session where they actually work with you there live in the classroom, have you go through your goals and walk through this process. Today's call, we're going to give you all the information that you need to be able to get this completed on your own, but I also wanted to just keep in mind that we'll also have that additional follow-up with our live training out there in the field as well. So stay tuned for times, dates, and locations of our regional training business plan. So with that, we want to go ahead and talk about our power planning presentation. The first thing we want to talk about is the purpose of this program. So today what we want to go through is and what we really want you to get out of this is we want you to be able to, number one, write your job description, understand what business that you are in, and make sure that you are in the right mind frame to sort of to set your goals. Second thing is actually determine those goals. So what is your income for the year? And then we actually calculate that all the way down to the number of contacts that you'll need to make on a daily, weekly, and even monthly basis to be able to get to that goal. Well, number 3, identify the activities necessary to achieve those goals. So what is it going to take to actually get to those goals? And we need to put some things in writing around that. And then understanding how to create a budget. So we've also incorporated the budgeting process in this so you can see once you've created the goals and your activities, you can lay your budget across that and see where your total net will fall out as well. So in terms of planning your business, it's not just setting the goals and figuring out how many contacts and how many listings for the year that you're going to have to make, but it is incorporating the budgeting things, the marketing that you're going to be doing in that as well. And so you really need to treat, this is a business, and you need to make sure you treat it like a business. You are your own business owner, so you need to make sure that you have a business plan for the year. And this program will help you put all that together. So our course objectives is to help you outline a process that you'll need to follow to create an effective business plan that is realistic, implementable, measurable, and ultimately successful. Okay, so some of the principles of planning, what we've found from best practices. Before you can engage in useful business planning, you need to gather the information that will allow you to identify the priorities and make decisions. This includes demographic data, market research, labor market information, competitive intelligence, etc. Anything that's going to have an effect on your market and your business this year, we need to take a look at that. It needs to be action-based. Goals are good things. You need them for direction, but without the actual planning actions to achieve those goals, nothing will be accomplished. Identify the risks and challenges. What are the obstacles that will keep you from your goals? Part of creating the plan is to not only identify these risks, but also figure out ways to mitigate them. And your plans will need to be adaptable. So the success of your plan increases as effort is applied for making it happen. But just writing down your goals and action plans is not enough. It must be a living and breathing document that changes as needed with the shifting market conditions. As always, your plans will require constant measuring and evaluation. Okay, so this is your business, and again, you need to treat it like a business. Too many agents rely on spontaneous planning and are constantly reacting to opportunities. These reactions can be distracting and take your business off in a direction that you hadn't planned on going. So in order to maximize your profitability, you need to figure out what you do well by tracking all of your activities and then adapting your plan on the go. Once you figure out what's successful, stick with it. So we'll talk about some of the challenges here. Many people say, well, I'm different, I don't need a plan. I'm doing great, my business is good, I've never had a plan, and I don't need one, I know just what to do. Well, if you're doing that well without a plan, consider what you could be doing with a plan. You know, when the wind changes direction, you do need to know which way to adjust your sails. So that certainly is not a good enough excuse. And number two, planning is too time consuming. Well, how much do you think creating a worthwhile business plan is going to require of you? Well, some people might say half an hour, some people might say the whole day. And you're right, I think creating a business plan can be done in varying time frames. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. And in terms of netting out your actual goals, you're going to see with the spreadsheet that we've created, you could do that we're going to do it today in under a minute. But then actually planning out your activities and planning out your schedule and putting your budget against it, those are all things that you have to layer in. But how much time can a business plan actually save you? All right, so it may take you a couple hours to put it together today, but in the long run, it's going to save you from running and chasing down the things that don't contribute to your business. Number three, planning is a burden. Well, a goal is a desire without a map on how to fulfill that desire. Let's say that you have a goal to lose those 20 pounds. If all you're going to do is set that goal, you are, in essence, wishing. If you write that goal down and tape it to your bathroom mirror, you're still wishing, although you're at least putting it in writing. A plan for losing weight, however, would involve looking at your diet, calculating how much less you need to eat and how much more you need to exercise to lose the 20 pounds. And an even more in-depth plan would include items such as the amount of time you want to lose the weight, a change in diet, a daily list of allowed foods, an exercise routine, and finally a way to track your progress and to make appropriate changes. So for those of you who have ever gone through the weight loss, I can tell you that, that wishing, that tends to not get the job done. But when you map out your plan and figure out what your diet is going to be, that tends to lead to more successful results. And the same can be said with the business planning as well. Business plans are too complex to carry out. They don't have to be. In fact, simpler is often better for the individual, and you'll see that today. And the last one, I don't know how. So not knowing how to do something is a huge inhibitor to taking no action at all. So with that, let's go ahead and just get in and get started here. So the process we're going to have you follow. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of strategic planning. We're going to help you talk about what job you're in, what ultimately are you trying to do. Then we're going to have you set your goals, determine your goals for the year. Then we're going to do a situation analysis to help you evaluate yourself, your market, and your best sources of business. We're then going to outline the activities that you must consistently perform that will help you visually see how you're going to be able to achieve those goals. Then we'll create your budget and allow you to set guidelines for your expenses and organize your activities. Then we'll talk about implementing and measuring your plan to help you set checkpoints for the accountability piece. And finally, we want to make sure that you are committing to the plan. And you choose an accountability partner that will help you that you reach or exceed your business and your personal goals for the year. So if we take a look at step number 1 here. Step number 1 is to identify your business and define your job responsibilities. Okay, so the first thing you do is, what business are you in? I mean, it's a pretty simple question. I think a lot of people might say real estate, I'm in the business of selling houses. But the truth is, and this is a nice quote from our in-house coach, Bill Fields, you are in the people-finding business. You can't sell a house if you don't have any people. Your job is to find people who have a need to buy or sell real estate. And that's really comes to the crux of what the business planning session is all about. It's about finding the people who have that need. And that's your real goal for the year. Your income goal can all be based off of the number of prospects and contacts that you make throughout the year. And that's ultimately what we're going to, your business plan is going to boil down to. How many contacts do I need to make today to be able to make sure that I meet my plans for the end of the year? So that's step number 1. And as we're doing this, I want to jump over now because we do have, like I told you, we do have the Microsoft Excel sheet, and we also have the actual handout. So let me show you both of those documents. Since we're in step number 1 here, those activities are also in our other handout. So I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint here quickly, and we'll move over to the, share this for you. So this is the actual handout. Again, we'll make this available. You can print this out right there from your computer, or even save this as a PDF. And then, if you have a calculator, if you want to fill it out, without being online or without using Microsoft Excel, you can fill up your business plan out this way. So we walked you through the same things we just talked through there. We talked about some of the initial steps of setting it up. And then here's our activity number 1. So the first question we're asking: identify your business and define your job responsibilities. We'll come to the Excel sheet here in just a second. So that's step number 1. Pretty simple, easy step. We want to just sort of get you in the right frame of mind. Step number 2, determine your goals. You're going to determine your income goals and your production targets that calculate the total number of contacts needed. And you'll notice that this says, refer to handout, personal income plan, total contacts calculation. You can leave both the completed sample and blank handout. So now, again, we jump out of the PowerPoint here. We'll go back into our handout. And so this is the document we're talking about, the personal income plan total contacts calculation. Now, we have this in the form that you see here in front of you, and this is a sample form that's been filled out. You'll also see that the next form after this, okay, is a blank form that you can fill out as well. Okay, and I'll walk you through this process. But now I want to jump over, this is the handout, I want to jump over to the Microsoft Excel document. Exactly what you see here, we've also built into Microsoft Excel, and if you're familiar with using Excel, if you can just plug in numbers that way, it's going to do all the calculations for you. So rather than you have to sit there with a calculator and work all this out, A1 times A2, if you can use the online Excel sheet, it's much, much simpler. So let me share this. So now you see the same thing, the same sheet that we just saw, only now we're working in Microsoft Excel. This first document we have is the sample sheet, but you can see the personal income goal at the top up here, we've said is $60,000 for the period of 2010. So step 1 is to calculate the average commission earned for 1 year. So in the sample here, we have that this agent's average sales price they put in is about $250,000, and they average about 3% commission. Okay, which means their office commission is that much, and their agent commission, based on a 60% split, is about $4,500 per deal. Step number 2 is to calculate the number of closed transactions you'll need to reach that $60,000 level. So you take your income goal, you take your average commission, you divide it, you come up, you're going to need about 13.5 transactions, 13.3 transactions to reach your income goal based on those statistics. Step 3. Calculate the number of listings needed to reach your income goal. So we know that we need to do almost 13.5 transactions to reach it. Well, how many many of those do we feel are going to be listings? And so we say, okay, I'm going to do about 60% are going to be listings. Okay, and when we get to step 4, we'll say, okay, about 40% will be on the buyer side. But for now, 60% are going to be listings. So that means 60% of the 13 is going to give you a total of 8 listings as closed transactions. Now, all we know, not every listing you take is going to sell. So if we on average say that it's 3 out of 4 of your listings sell, or 75%, means that in order to get to 8 listings sold, you're probably going to have to take 10 or 11 listings. So the question is, in order to get 10 or 11 listings for the year, how many listing presentations do you have to give? Okay, on average, it's about 3 listing presentations per listing taken. So you have to give about 32 presentations this year. And in order to get to the 32 listing presentations, you're probably going to have to work with about 90 to 96 prospects this year. In order to work with 96 prospects, you're probably going to have to contact at least 960 or 1,000 contacts this year to get to the total number of listings needed. All right, so that's the listing side. Now we move down to step number 4, work on the buyer side. So we've said 40% of our transactions this year are going to come from buyer transactions. Okay, so if we take our 13.3 number, divide it by 40, we get about 5 transactions that come from a buyer. So how many qualified buyers do you need to close 5 transactions? Probably need about 10 qualified buyers. From that, you'll probably need around 50 prospects to come up with your 10 qualified buyers, and about 533 contacts to come up with those 50 prospects. All right, so if we take all the statistics that you saw here and we come down to step 5, the total contacts needed. So the total contacts needed per year, you're going to have to make about 1,500 contacts per year. You're going to need about 30 per week or 6 per day. So now we have exact tactics of what we're going to need to do in terms of the number of people that we're going to need to contact in order to reach our sales goal for the year. So if we just jump over to I'll show you, we also have this in here as the blank sheet. So this is the one that's been filled out. Now if we come over into our Excel document, you notice at the very bottom of the screen, you can see the different tabs. So everything that you have in your actual handout, you're also going to be able to fill out here in the Excel spreadsheet. So the first one was the personal income plan example. The next one is the personal income plan blank. And the only information that you really have to fill out here, if you'll notice some of the fields are in gray. So for instance, let's say we wanted to make our personal income goal, hey, let's make a big one. Let's do 100,000 for our personal income goal this year. And let's say our average sales price in this instance is, okay, $350,000. And my average commission, I'm going to leave it 3%. All I have to do is fill out the grade fields. It's going to automatically calculate the other fields for me. So I'll come down here to commission split. You can see that it's automatically done the calculation for me there to figure out my average office commission. So my commission split, I'm on a 65% commission, let's say. There, better, not 6,500%, 65%. So then I figured out my average commission. Now I have to just figure out how many of the 14 transactions that's going to be needed for me to reach my goal, how many of those on average on a percentage are going to be listings versus buyer-controlled sales. So I'll just do 50-50 here. And then the other thing I have to figure out is what percentage of your listings will sell. So I'm going to use the same 75%. And then you can see it's done all the calculations for you. You can come down once we plugged in your numbers there and see that you need to make. Now notice, this is about the same statistic as we saw on the example. Now why is that? I have a personal income goal of 100,000, and you'll notice the example was only 60,000. And we still net out to about the same number of contacts per day. Well, why is that? Well, with the 60,000 example, we only used the $250,000 average sale price, okay? A little lower commission split as well. So with a much higher average sales price and a little bit more commission split, you can see that the difference between earning your $60,000 in this plan and the $100,000 in the plan that we just entered is really based on average sales price and commission splits, etc. So I think if you use this Excel spreadsheet, obviously we put the calculations in. If you want to do this by hand over here on the handout, you're certainly welcome to do it this way by simply going through. But you know, using Microsoft Excel and technology these days is going to make your life a lot easier. So you've done this. You've done this first exercise. We now have the total number of contacts that we needed per day. So we're going to move back into our PowerPoint. We're going to go to our next step, which is step number 3. Now, before we actually start to build out our plan to figure out how we're going to reach our income goal, we have to do a little bit of an analysis. We have to figure out what are our strengths and weaknesses as a person, and what are we going to need to do this year? Are there any certifications, designations, any training that we need? We need to really understand what we're going to need to do to be able to continue to offer, you know, the customer service levels and to know the market. We also have to understand the market conditions. What's your market like? What has changed this year? Obviously, we've had a lot of change in the last 4 or 5 years in the real estate market, and significantly impacted the way that we do business. So as you're building a plan, you need to figure out in your market what's happening with the market conditions. Where are the opportunities? And then the last thing is to evaluate your best sources of business. Figure out in the past, how have you been successful? What have you done in the past? Where are you getting your business from? That's going to help you really target and focus your marketing and activities to be able to reach your plan. So we do have this, and we'll show you step 3 here in the handout. So step 3 in the handout looks like this. Your situational analysis, where first you're going to evaluate yourself. Then we'll evaluate your market. Okay, so changes in the market will primarily be caused by, the MLS indicates the trends are. And this is going to allow you to really kind of step back and take a look at your market as a whole, so that when you're building your plan, you can build the activities that make sense based on these analyses that you're making. The last exercise here is to evaluate your best sources of business. So what's your best source of business, second best, third best, any other sources of business, and then any new opportunities that might be available in the market this year. Okay. So again, this sheet that we have here in the handout, again, is also in our Microsoft Excel document. So the next tab on the bottom is situational analysis. You can fill this out right here online. But now we'll move back into PowerPoint, and we'll move over to step number 4. Okay. Step number 4, outline the activities that you must consistently perform in order to meet your goals. Okay. So now let's take a look at what these activities look like. And in your activities, move over to our guy here. So what we're going to have you do is, for each section here, for your prospects and for your buyers and sellers, what activities that you're going to undertake. So for instance, contact for sale by owners. And then the activity details, how you'll be doing that. So you're going to be sending out marketing cards, you're going to be making phone calls, what exactly are you going to be doing, and then what's the frequency? Are you going to do that on a weekly basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis? How often are you going to do that to generate prospects? Same thing with the buyers and the sellers. We want you to start to outline some of those activities that you know are going to make you successful. That's what this activity number 4. There's a secondary part to this activity outline, and that is what we call our time blocking grid. So the next thing that we're going to introduce to you is this time blocking grid. Now I feel this is really important for you to at least sense of to make sure that your goals are realistic and measurable and implementable along with your activities. Your time blocking grid is important. It's going to allow you to layer in the things that you need to do in terms of your own personal time, your required meetings and trainings, your prospecting activities, your time that you're going to be available to meet with prospects, even to be able to build in time to review your plan and to review your marketing activities. Okay, so you can see here, this is a sample time blocking grid where we put in there, here you have a 6-day work week there, where 7 a.m. is the workout, 8 o'clock is breakfast. I built in flex time from 8 till 9 after breakfast. And then at 9 o'clock, my day begins. I prospect every day of the week except for Tuesday because that's my sales meeting. So you're really being able to lay out what your typical week looks like and layer in those activities is extremely important. One point that I would make here is when you're laying in your prospecting activities or your prospecting time to your calendar, and this is one of the reasons we want you to do this up front, your prospecting time should be added to your calendar as an appointment. If you get a request for showing property or meeting with clients, you should schedule around your prospecting appointments. The most important meetings you can schedule are the ones you set aside for yourself to fulfill your required activities. Too many agents will just jump at the chance to go and show property and go meet and do this and that, and yet, they haven't done any prospecting. So that's why agents tend to ride what we call the roller coaster of real estate. They get busy because they're working with clients, and then all of a sudden they have no production. They go an entire month without having a single transaction, because while they were so busy with their activities and showing property to clients in January, they never set aside to do any prospecting for February. Okay, so you need to make sure that you build in that time, that you respect the time that you put in there for your prospecting. Consider it an appointment. So, if I jump back to the PowerPoint here, let's the time blocking grid. So what we ask you to do is give you a blank grid, and we say first add your personal time in, next add your required meetings and trainings, and then add your prospecting activities, then add your time availability to meet with prospects, and then 5 minutes each day for reviewing and updating your plan, and then 30 minutes at the end of each week for just tracking your activities, figuring out what you did that week and tracking those activities so that you can see what has worked and what hasn't. Okay. Right, there is another sheet here that I need to get into. Let me hop out of this a second. So there's another sheet. Now we jump into the Microsoft Excel. We did the situational analysis. Here's your time blocking example, and then we have a blank one for you. Then there's the weekly tracking sheet. And this is what we're asking you to do at the end of every week. What did you do on a daily basis in terms of listings, sales, sphere context, and then the summary of hours. How many hours do you spend in meeting and training, previewing, working with buyers, working with listings, or actually working on paperwork? And then from this, where did you get your business from? How many listings did you obtain? How many sales did you obtain? If you start to do this on a consistent basis, you're really going to have a very clear picture of what activities it's taking to generate that business and where those opportunities are actually coming from. Okay, so that's your weekly tracking. So the next thing we hop into here is I believe we're starting to get into the budgeting process. So once we lay out, we know how many contacts we need to make. We've laid out our activities that we want. We've laid out what our typical week looks like in terms of the time blocking grid. So now let's figure out what is our budget. We need a budget to be able to support our activities. Okay. One of the things that I've included here is we have, and this is just for your reference, we've included the annual expenses from the National Association of Realtors 2008 member report. We're actually waiting, as soon as we get to 2009, they always release the member report for the year after. So we're waiting for them to release, it's 2010 now, we're waiting for them to release the 2009 member profile report. So to give you an idea of what we're doing with this, create your budget. So again, move into the agent planning sheet after you do your weekly tracking. Here from the National Association of Realtors, on average, in 2008, the NAR median gross commission income, or GCI, was $56,000. Okay, from that, it's just some idea of what your expenses should approximate. Okay, on average, our agents spent about 8% of that on real estate expenses. Okay, that would be your licensing fees, your dues, etc. About 12% of the GCI, on average, was spent. 12.5% was spent on marketing. A little under 1% was spent on website maintenance, hosting services, or help desk support. Training, professional development, a little over 1%. Administrative expenses, about 1%. Technology products and services, a little over 1% there. I think this is much more. These days, it's more around 2 or 3% on technology products and services. By the time you're paying for your cell phone, smartphone, PDA, if you use a program like Top Producer, whatever it might be. And then your automobile expenses, that'll equal, so on average, about 29% of your GCI is spent on the expenses. This came from a report right from National Association of Realtors from 2008. So we wanted to at least give you a baseline, and if you had no clue what number to fill in, you could at least work off of it. So from this, we come into our next document here, which is called our income and expense budget. So what we've done here is we've broken this down by month. We do January through December. We want you to put in your listing income and selling income that you earned that month. And then we've broken each one of these sections out. So your professional fees, okay? This includes board dues, MLS, legal, banking, E&O insurance, other dues or fees. And you have your marketing. And that's around your image marketing and your listing marketing. So what are you doing around business cards, websites, direct mail, radio, listing marketing, flyers, just listed cards, photocopies, website maintenance. You need to be able to track all this so you can get a really good idea, plan for what you're doing this year. And if you track this year, you're going to be that much more successful next year when you have all this data to be able to go off of. So we have your expenses, your automobile, your communication, your supplies, and then other. And again, this is in Microsoft Excel, so it is going to total the columns and everything for you as you go through this. Okay, so the calculations are all built in that will tabulate your expenses for the year. So that's your create your budget. The next step is to implement and measure your plan. Okay, so the final handout that we have for you is the sale. It's called Size and Income by Source. And so moving back into Excel here, after we get our expenses in there, we want to figure out, this document here is the size and income by source. So this is tracking where all of your business came from. So you can see that it's separated by sellers, buyers, and then total as well. So for instance, if you found that, and this is something that if you haven't done your business plan this year, go through and do this for business the last 12 months to figure out where your business is coming from. This is really going to help you figure out where your marketing dollars are best spent. So maybe I sold three sides from my sphere of influence, totaling, I'll say 15 grand. And maybe I got one call off of a sign that I earned $6,500 on. One off of an open house, I earned $3,500. Some from my website, say 2 from the website, where here I got the 9 grand off of that. And then maybe a couple from a newspaper, and this is $8,500 here. Okay, as you can see, it's tabulating for you as you put this in. So you can see, we've worked with 9 sellers this year. Okay, you can see the percentages. 33% of those came from my sphere. 22% came from the website and newspaper. Of the amount of income, you can see a breakdown here of, okay, 35% of my income is actually coming from my sphere, 21% is coming from my website, 20% is coming from the newspaper. And it'll break you so you fill out your sellers, you fill out the buyers, where they came from and where you got your business, and then it's going to total up for you. And it should tell you a lot about your business in terms of how much percentage of your income is coming from each source. Okay. So once you figure that out, it's time to implement and measure your plan. Okay. So where your business comes from will help identify those areas in which we're going to concentrate your marketing efforts. Implement and measure. Step number 7 is to actually commit to your plan. So if you fail to plan, we know that you're planning to fail. And so what we've done now is we've actually turned this into, we want you to select an accountability partner. And just like you have a guide, an agent guide for your power planning, we have this agent power planning accountability partner handout. It walks them through so that they understand the same process that you're going through so they can see your numbers. But then we've also given some additional steps at the end to be able to, when you do sit down at a monthly meeting, we give them the Q&A to go through with you. So for instance, we'll just go right to the end here. So this is for the accountability partner. Here's some instructions. Congratulations, you've been asked to assist an agent with their business plan accountability. You can use your broker for this. Again, you can use a spouse. You can use even another agent in your office that you feel is going to hold you accountable. And then what to do in the first meeting, the second meeting, and the third meeting when you're meeting with the agent, along with the questions that you should ask, some of the data that you should be capturing, and even some of the what you should do based on the answers that you receive. So we do have this accountability guide, and it's important that every agent you hold yourself accountable, but it really is important that you also have somebody to help you to hold you accountable for those goals as well. So that's your committing to a plan. So now it's your turn, as you say. What's it going to take? Regularly scheduled meetings with your manager or personal business coach. Just use the time management tool to be able to track and organize your business week and be able to know what you're doing in terms of making sure that your activities are the successful activities you can consistently perform to reach those goals that you've set. Might take a personal assistant, someone to be able to hold you accountable. Skill developmental courses, so what you've found out in your situational analysis, I think will help you identify some areas that you feel you need improvement in. Networking groups, certainly a great idea to help bolster what you're doing, share some of your ideas. And personal investment, and really it's going to take a personal investment for you to work your plan, to be disciplined enough to constantly review your plan. I mean, that's one of the other things. Your plan has to be flexible. You can go in there today and put in any numbers you want, but if it's not, if you're not actually doing the work and you can't possibly get through the activities to reach that income goal, you set an unrealistic goal. So you have to be personally invested in your plan. This is your income. This is your life that you're talking about. We certainly hope that you take it seriously and that you really do develop a plan of action to be able to get to your goals. We've tried to give you a simple process for that by putting all this documentation into Microsoft Excel that'll do all the calculations for you. That'll be fairly simple and easy to work with on a weekly, monthly basis. So, a couple things in review here. Review your plan monthly to stay on track. Okay, you may have to alter some of the numbers. You may find that average list price is going down this year. You may find that you may be on a different commission split because you've earned some level. So just make sure that you're constantly tweaking that business plan so that you know what you're doing. I mean, when Donald Trump makes his business plan for the year, he doesn't just make one and that's it. He's constantly having to go back and revise, and you can't possibly be successful if you're not tracking what you're doing to see if what you're doing works. Review your goals for 5 minutes every day to keep them fresh in your mind, and track your progress weekly and make adjustments as needed. Productivity isn't so much about getting more things done as it is about getting the right things done. And so that's what we really want to stress to you here is to set that goal and then outline those activities to be able to reach those goals. There are 3 kinds of people in this business. Those who make things happen, those who watch what happens, and those who wonder what happens. So which kind are you? That's what we're trying to get to with brass tacks.